So, welcome back to the channel. It was quite interesting to see how much interest was shown in my last video with the results from the log camera trap. Now, unfortunately, we didn't get the species that we were hoping for, although we'll come on to that a bit later on. For this video, I thought I'd kind of show you all the equipment that I've been using for the camera trapping, and then maybe a little bit of a future project as well. So, let's get started. When it comes to choosing an area, you want to have a place where you feel safe leaving the camera, potentially if it's your first time camera trapping. It's a little bit more of an expensive setup than the trail cameras, but we'll go through everything and then you can kind of see, and maybe this is something that you want to try. So whenever I'm visiting a new property or a new place, I always like to use trail cameras. Now, this is what people are most likely to assume when we talk about camera trapping. A small camera that you can leave out in the woods and it takes photos and videos. Now, I use loads of these for recce sites, trying to find trails or wildlife is actually on the property or the area that I'm trying to photograph. It's very difficult to just kind of go in, set up a camera trap and just hope for the best. It's all about optimizing your chances to things. So using trail cameras like this one's from One Stop Nature Shop. They run off AA batteries. So we've got some AA batteries there. A little LCD screen. I always find it's really helpful to have the ones with LCD screens. The amount of times I've taken laptops out in the rain and trying to look at SD cards, much better to get you someone with an LCD card. My last MacBook died because it had water corrosion on the SSD drives. So highly recommend one with an LCD screen. Let's say this one's from One Stop Nature Shop. So now that you've got this and you've found out what wildlife you're seeing in the area, now it's time to think about the actual camera trap setup. So first things first, what camera to use? Now there's all sorts of different things online. I'll leave some links down below of some really great places for you to find more information about camera trapping in general and what equipment to use. Just because I'm showing you this equipment doesn't mean you have to use this. There's some brilliant camera trap photographers out there that maybe use Nikon. I'm currently a Canon just because those were the cameras I had lying around, and most of the time people can find that they've got cameras like this. This is a Canon EOS Rebel T1i, really old camera, but because you're not really using super fast shutter speeds, you're using manual lenses. This is a Sigma 10 to 20mm wide angle lens. There's probably some moisture marks on the inside of it, but I always use this in manual mode. So by using a camera trap you can get really close to your subjects without scaring them. So that's why opting for a wide angle lens means you can incorporate the habitat where your wildlife resides. Usually, or in the future, actually should I say, these is going to have an external battery. So this will have a dummy battery with an external battery in there. We'll come onto that a little bit later on. I'll show you some images now, give you some examples of the type of images you can capture with the Sigma 10 to 20mm lens. They do different mount options. Obviously Sigma could be Canon mounts, or it can be Nikon mount, or Sony, or whatever mount it won't be, and they provide brilliant images. So I highly recommend the Sigma 10 to 20mm wide angle lens. You can pick most of this equipment up pretty cheap really. I haven't looked at the prices currently, but as I say, most people have an old Rebel lying around gathering dust, so why not put it to use? So that's the camera and the lens combination. What about lighting? Most of the time you'll be lighting subjects in the dark, so that's where the flashes come into it. So the flashes that I use are these. These are the Nikon SB28. Now these are a bit like gold dust nowadays with camera trappers. As soon as people found out that they have an incredible standby time on, I think, 4 AA batteries, and these are brilliant. And as you notice, I'm using Nikon with a Canon camera. That doesn't matter because everything's pretty much manually set up, so these are brilliant. Perfect standby life, pretty small as you can see, just about palm size. You can make your own DIY flash housings for them, which I've got one that I've made up earlier. If you're from the UK, a bit of a Blue Peter moment. So this is just an old cereal container and there's a flash that sits just inside there. So if I open this up, you'll see that I've got my Nikon SB28 flash, I've got my receiver there, and if you can see that there's a little hole just there. So what I usually do is I will put a tree screw in there, mostly used for trail cameras. So I've got one just down here. So I use one of these. This is a trail camera one, I believe. So you screw that into the tree. You've seen me use this setup before in my last couple of videos. Really simple, and those washers at the end provide a real nice tight seal to the serial container, so it means your flashes are completely watertight. I haven't tested it underwater, I wouldn't recommend you do so, but for rain, snow, any of the elements that you might encounter whilst out in the field, they're perfect. So we've got an old camera that's probably lying around, a lens that you can pick up fairly cheap, some flashes, and a serial container. As you can see, I'm trying to do everything DIY based here. The actual paint job, I have to thank Daryl. I'll leave a link to some Daryl's images, or I might even put some in this video so you can see. And this is just using a sponge and some spray paint, and I've just blotted it on like this, like a camo style. We've got this one which is a little bit more of a tan colour, then this one which is more of a sort of wooded green, a bit more black, so you can see the two there. And depending on your environment, you can change these to whatever you want. If you wanted to have it completely white, if it's a snowy region where you are, then by all means go ahead. So now you've got your camera, your flashes, and you've used your trail cameras to find out where the wildlife are. The most important piece of kit, not necessarily this one, but a motion sensor. Now motion sensors are brilliant. This is a PIR sensor. This one in particular is from Camtraptions. It has these two little wings on the outside there to narrow your PIR, so that's your passive infrared sensor. And now this is what will trigger the camera. So when an animal walks past and breaks that beam, then it will fire the camera. Really good piece of kit. There's other ones such as Cognesis. I'm currently getting one built. I'll go on to that a bit later on. But for now, the Camtraptions one, this is the V2 version, I believe. And I picked this up second hand. You can pick them up new from Camtraptions website, and you can also pick up these. These are your flash receivers and triggers. So one of these goes on the camera, the transmitter, I believe, and then receives on your flashes. So when an animal walks past this, it then wakes the camera up, and then it sends a signal to the flashes to then wake them up and then take the picture. It sounds like a long process, but it's much quicker than that. I've been using Camtraction sensors for a number of years now. Lots of my images have been taken using this particular sensor, so it's a good starting sensor. Camtraptions is brilliant if you kind of just want to go get everything straight away ready-made for you. They're a brilliant company, so for that reason I'd recommend them. And moving on from Camtraction sensors, we've also got the Camtraptions housing. So now we've seen the sensors and also the flash triggers. Now we're going to go move on to the housing that I've been using. So this is a Camtraptions housing. I believe they've got 2 or 3 different housing. I think this is the Mark II, their most common version nowadays. They also do have a metal version, but I won't be needing that. There's not too many bears in the area that I'm aware of. So it has a little port here where you can then put your lens through so you can see. This is actually a glass filter there. And then it opens up to the back. So you've got a nice plate there which you can attach your camera to, and that slides back in like that. And overall, in terms of weatherproofing, it's been fantastic. Probably one of the best modular houses, because the front element here with the lenses, you can actually add different extensions to it, so if you want to put different lenses on. So it's definitely a product that if you want to extend your photography, then you can try different lenses, different camera bodies. This is quite a large housing, so it can fit quite a multitude of different bodies in there. Now none of this is paid, the sponsorship. I haven't been paid by Contraptions. This is just stuff that I use, and I found it's worked really well. Just like the flashes, I've given this a paint job as well. I thought the standard olive green was it stood out a bit too much. And again, there'll be times where I change this depending on the weather and the elements. So if it's been winter, then I can change all this to white, or if it's sort of spring, summertime like it is now, then I can just paint it this sort of camo green. Now you'll notice that this is mounted, so this is actually an idea that I got from Neil Jernigan. Many of you, I'm sure, have seen those, and thank you, Neil, for the idea. This is just a sort of a mount here that I've made out of some old scrap wood, and this is a ram mount. So ram have been brilliant. It took me a while to find out which ram mount to go with, because I wanted to make sure they didn't slouch over or anything like that. And these are brilliant. Some people use them for their flashes as well. Currently I'm just using the screw mounts for trail cameras, and they work well. But that's kind of the setup, so that's why I'll put my camera in to keep it protected, and you've seen this in the field in previous videos. Now there are some other different things that you might want to take with you. Spare batteries. These ones I've just picked up. These are the ladder batteries, 2450 ones from IKEA. And these are the AAAs, the ladder 750s. As I say, I'm hopefully going to move on to some external power sources to try and keep some of these setups out in the field for a little bit longer. But because this setup is quite local, I can easily go and visit it. So we've got power, housing, flashes, flash housings, cameras, trail cameras. We're almost there. Now the final piece of kit that I've added to my camera trap armory has been a mount for the flashes. In some areas there's not a lot of trees, so I'm having to try and just post it up on some rocks and things like that, and it's not very sturdy. So I was looking online, couldn't really find anything, so I decided I'd make my own ones. So these are my flash stands. Very, very simple design. Must be simple because I came up with it. So you get your flash. It's a bit of a snug fit, but it does the job, and I'd rather they were snug. And so your flash just fits in just like so. Nice and light, made of wood. Inexpensive. I can easily make loads more of these if I ever need to. And again, just giving it that same paint job. I'll probably at some point maybe put a strap around the front just to secure that flash in place, but it's pretty stable in there and blends in really well. So I mentioned about future projects. Now one of these projects includes a wireless motion sensor. The Camtraptions one that I've been using so far has been a wired setup, which means I am kind of limited a little bit in terms of how far that wire can go. And also there's rodents and beavers and raccoons that like to fiddle around with camera traps. I'll see if I can put in a video now where you can see them having a look at a trail camera, so you can imagine what they do to a camera trap setup. Now I've been talking to Daryl. I can't remember your name off the top of my head, Daryl, but he's on Facebook. He's a brilliant person. He's from Saskatchewan. Hopefully he doesn't mind me saying this. I can always bleep this out if not. And he's been brilliant in terms of making me a housing, and that involves a case with a motion sensor that's wireless, so I can put it anywhere. And I'm hoping for a few more creative setups this year. This is the longest time I've spent somewhere other than home, so I'm really looking forward to making the most of it. Now Daryl, I'm sure you've seen from the all the different paint jobs that I've been giving these different housings and things to make it blend into the environment. That's where I originally got the idea, and then I saw some of Daryl's setups. And sometimes you do like to have things just built. I'm not the best with electronics. I'd rather not kind of electrocute myself, so Daryl is perfect in terms of building these things. So hopefully by the end of April I will have a new setup, and I can also maybe do a video on that so you guys can kind of see the difference. I think it's slightly smaller. The Camtraptions housing is built, just wait for the train. As I was saying, the Camtraptions housing is built for sort of any camera, whereas Daryl specifically building a custom housing for the Canon Rebel T1i. So I'm really looking forward to that. We've also had some amazing camera trap, I'm getting mixed up now. Some amazing trail camera videos from local property. We've had porcupine, coyotes, otters, beavers, and probably two of the more interesting species we've had are fisher and bobcats. Now, a lot of those species we don't have back in the UK, but those last two really are interesting to me. I've never photographed them with my camera or with a camera trap, so I'm really looking forward to trying to get those. I'll probably do a video after this, maybe of some of the better trail camera clips that I've got so far, and in the meantime I'll be setting up the camera trap at the property, and hopefully we can get some cool stuff. As I say, I've just invested in some new batteries. It seemed like a bit of a cost, but when you go and buy batteries all the time, rechargeable seems a sensible way to go. So hopefully you've enjoyed that video. If there's any questions, just drop them down below, because there's probably some stuff that I haven't covered in quite as much detail. I've just gone over what I have here. There's plenty of videos out there, so this is just what I use. Thanks again for watching the videos, and please, by all means, subscribe to the channel. It's slowly growing, but hopefully it will get there and there'll be some good content coming out. And if you liked the last video with the results from the camera trap, then please drop me a subscribe. As I say, it really helps and makes it worthwhile me doing these videos. So as I say, drop any questions down below, of any questions you've got for camera trap equipment, trail cameras, wildlife photography, or maybe what you might want to see in some other videos. This is just currently what I'm working on, so if there's anything else like bird photography or macro, anything like that, just let me know. Thanks for watching and have a good rest of your day. I will be trying to photograph the solar eclipse this afternoon, so fingers crossed for that.